Welcome back to the case study of Vanitas anime review episode number 22. Yes, 22. This is discussing the 22nd episode of the series, Blue Knight. This covers chapters 48 and 49. Now, I have checked. 55 is the most recent chapter released for the manga. You might be thinking, 49. That means there's only about 6 chapters left to go be done with manga. Technically, yes, that's true, but there's actually 7 left, plus a couple of these .5s. So overall, you got about 8 or 9 chapters. Basically, there kind of is an okay amount of material there. Lucky enough that this season is going to end in just 2 episodes. So yeah, in just a couple weeks, we're going to see the end of the season. So in 2 weeks, it will be the start of April when this season will finally end. Excuse me. Now, some of you probably have noticed this with my reviews. Before I talk about the next episode, which probably was a really good episode, you probably have noticed since the season come back that this particular review series has not come out on Fridays. It tends to come out either Saturday or in some cases even Sunday or at the latest even Monday. Usually because it gets kind of late because I'm doing something or like something else is going on and it prevents me doing a review. This is by far the first episode I've done for this curve for the case of the Vanitas where I've actually reviewed it the day it comes out. Not a day or a day or two later after it comes out, the day it comes out. So kudos for me to actually finally get this back on schedule for about 3 weeks until like when the season ends. Well, basically it's 2 weeks from now. So we start off basically still in the flashback where we see Mikhail, or Makia, as basically he tends to call himself. Start off basically with him getting a haircut. Yes, a haircut. He is told, now they do change this from the manga of the conversation, because the conversation between him and the guy who becomes Vanitas, they do this in front of the doctor, where basically he's no longer called Mikhail, he's referred to as number 671. Now, they do also cut here the mentioning of number 70. Yeah, they don't really bring up exactly who number 70 is, or who is exactly 1 through 68. It's presumably their experiment. In the manga, they describe number 70 as being mute. As for what this person's deal is, they don't go into the manga. In the anime, I guess Bones must have realized that, like, yeah, this manga's not giving much of anything when it comes to number 70. Let's just basically just omit that from the anime. So, yeah, you have basically Mikhail getting his haircut because his hair was long when he first got there. So he's giving himself a haircut. And Vanitas is giving this conversation to him in their cell that they're staying in. I say it's like a cell. It's basically like a forced room they're in. And then they do experiments on him. They inject him. And of course, they ow, ow, ow. And he performs this. And he's basically bandaged up. This last week of time we see Dr. Medro. Who would just return this last episode. And he's here. We kind of do the explanation of exactly what exactly happened with Vanitas originally under the thumb of Dr. Medro. So, basically, after being experimented for so long, of course, Vanitas basically volunteers to go through the experiment anyways. In our event, basically, the first to Mikhail as a little brat. So he brings him to a room with this weird-looking machine, which, yes, this machine did exist in the manga, so kudos for the anime, keeping it pretty accurate. And this is where we have where you can kind of say this is where Vanitas got his book from. The Book of Vanitas. And there are 2 books. You're probably thinking, why are there 2 books? I thought there was only 1. They don't go into that. It's never really explained exactly where these books come from. It's presumed that the Blue Clan must have created these books. And they basically hook these 2 up and suggested, like, of course, before they activate the machine, Medro decides to thank him for volunteering, and he suggests basically there's a possibility these 2 might return the vegetables. And this experiment goes haywire, destroying a live equipment and implying killing Dr. Medro, even though that he's alive in present day. How the heck is he still alive, despite the fact shown he's crushed by a freaking bookcase? well, basically one of these like cabinets. He probably hurt his back. Like, what exactly happened to him after this? Not really known. And then all of a sudden, the Vampire of the Blue Moon shows up. Yes. Well, even though they refer to us as a guy, even though that by the voice and the mannerisms, it's clearly a woman. Yes, the Vampire of the Blue Moon, Vanitas, the original one, is clearly a woman. And they basically, and Mikhail basically requests that she, I refers to she because of the voice and the appearance of a woman. They don't clearly show her at all because her skin is covered in, is basically black, completely black. Why the heck this is? Is this a change to the manga? No, Vanitas is like this too in the manga, so it's kind of baffling of why the heck that she looks like this. Or where the staff comes from. We do get an explanation here, basically by a visual nod, that the earring that Vanitas wears, so you see him frequently wearing the series, apparently used to be her bracelet. Yes, the earring he wears in the anime used to be the original Vanitas' bracelet. That's presumably where he got it from, because clearly wearing it. And of course, she drags him out of there. Of course, she carries Mikhail, treats him like a little child, because it kind of is. And then, of course, basically, Vanitas ends up stabbing the original one, and shows up that she has got blue blood. As for why, it's something to do with the clan of the Blue Moon, the Blue Moon clan. That's presumably what exactly the reason for this is. As for what the heck the Blue Moon clan is, it's not really delved into at all. Because Dr. Mitchell made him to quasi-members of the clan. Not full-blown members, just quasi-members. That's his wording, mind you. And they bring him to a house that apparently is run by an old acquaintance of hers. And they bring him, and of course Vanitas collapses. And of course brings up a little bit of his backstory prior to becoming experiments. And why the heck he stayed there. The reason why is because he dared try to escape, so so basically Dr. Midro killed a random stranger and claimed that was actually number 69, and kept him under thumb in order to prevent him from kidnapping other children. He does explain a little bit about his childhood before he became an experiment, where he was, Vance was like, oh, you called off your mother, and he's like, that's impossible. And he says the reason why is because his mother died when he was born. And she is actually from a traveling show, and his father was a doctor who ended up leaving his group of friends who were doctors, traveled the circus. And apparently, from the way he says in the anime, is that his father didn't like the traveling circus much at all. He loved the woman who became the mother of his only child. And then, of course, they show it that his father was killed by vampires. What his name of his father? Never stated in the anime. What Vanitas' original name is? Never stated in the anime or even the manga. The manga never delves into what exactly his original name was. And, yeah, and of course he ends up, well, after viewing this, apparently the very next day, Vanitas tries to make breakfast. Which turns out really horrible. Looks like sludge. Standard anime trope, a beautiful woman tries to make food and turns out really badly. The second Vanitas, the main Vanitas of the series, points out, though, this food is terrible and the house is dusty full of cobwebs. So apparently off-screen he manages to clean the house in a span of minutes and make up a proper breakfast soup. And it tastes really good. She was, oh, I'm utterly defeated. Of course, they show up a montage of stuff they were doing, like shopping, trying clothes. Still do not have an explanation why the heck vampires that walk around in sunlight no problem. This webcomic. Here's the thing. In all other forms of fiction involving vampires, they can't walk around sunlight. Their skin can't take it. And yet, in this series, one of like a couple times basically I've ever seen this, where a vampire can walk around in sunlight. Well, with the exception of Blake the Vampire Hunter, the only time I've seen this is basically related to Dracula, where in the original story he actually walked around in sunlight. This was the whole thing of him where he burns to crisp in sunlight, that was something that was added in the movies. That was the reason for that. As for why in the world in this show, where even the manga, they basically have it where vampires walk around in sunlight, no problem at all, and their skin does not get burnt, you could say it's maybe some skin lotion. But no one has never seen putting on skin lotion all in the series. So, after all this montage, apparently it's revealed by Vanitas, that Mikhail and the second Vanitas are dying. She says it might be either a month, 6 months, or even 5 years from now. And she says the only way to save their lives is to make them full members of the clan. Mikhail is up for this all 100%. The second Vanitas is not up for this at all, and they become members anyways. And then we come back to present day, where Noe has finally finished going through the memories, and he gets pushed off by Mikhail. And that's when Vanitas shows up present day. I'm like, where the heck have you been the whole episode? Yeah, and that's pretty much the episode in a nutshell. It's a damn good episode. Good. I would say it's a good character story, this one. Yes, it reveals a lot about Vanitas' backstory, because I'm sure people who watch this only in the anime must follow, wow, this backstory is quite interesting. Can we get more, please? But I highly doubt we're going to go into that because, well, next week's episode is going to be called, get this, Tears Like Rain, which will be the pendulum episode of the season. Yep. But yeah, not much to say about this episode. Really good. Oddly enough, this is actually the first episode of this card not to have the opening title sequence. I don't remember being this. Oh, actually, it did show. I forgot. It did. My mistake. Yeah, I thought it did. My mistake. But damn good episode nonetheless. Okay, so that's episode. I'm going to do one more video tonight, and I'll call it night for videos. Okay, a big comic corner. One of the things we'll discuss will be a final trade for a trade series. Which one? You'll find in the next video. Okay, next video. Bye.